Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Not Another Rangers podcast, your Monday night edition. If you're tuning in tonight, you are really a glutton for punishment. There's nothing exciting to talk about. There's no positive news. There's nothing happened since Friday that would get us a bit of positivity. So buckle up, strap in, and we're going to have an hour of talking probably about poor performance and a lot of speculation, but stuff none of us have actually know. I think that's probably the course today. The weather was rubbish, the football was worse, and we are not going to get any better as this next hour goes on. Then, Scott, you weren't with us on Friday. You were busy moving to a new home, and just right near St. Park, actually, for him. So, did you
no, I'm not anywhere. I'm on the other side of Paisley, Gary. I was near St. Park, but I'm on the other side. So, listen, I've only seen brief highlights. I didn't take any interest. I seen the score. Talking to a few people over there, talking to obviously you on the chat, and not one person a good thing to say about it. I said I'm going to put myself through 90 minutes. I watched this, so I just watched the brief highlights, and that was enough. I have to say, I thought it was awful, but it's been a busy weekend. Stressful as anything, moving, building stuff, getting folk in today stuff, and so just try to get in. Try to get in before I get back to work. What's that?
You moved in then?
I moved in on Friday, but we had different builders in and stuff, different folk in. Got a lot of people who's been over to help out and stuff, so managed to get the wardrobes up and stuff like that. So it's just my granddaughter's room to finish before she comes back on Wednesday.
Good. And yourself, Ricky, how was your weekend?
Great, mate. Everything was fantastic except for Rangers. Rangers and a paint gun I bought from Whittle when I went in for cheese about 6 months ago. I tried to use it this weekend thinking I would paint the house in 20 minutes, and I'd been as well spitting paint at the wall. It was as bad as Rangers, mate. Honestly, it was like it was so bad. So that and Rangers, except for that, I had a fantastic weekend. But Rangers every weekend, it's at the point now they just keep disappointing you, mate. So we're used to it now.
So I was looking there just before we go online. There is less than 20 days to go before the season ends. Less than 20 days. So let's all celebrate that at least. So we're almost nearing single figures. Next week we've got 3 games at Ibrox in it to pretty much get it over and done with. Let's get a couple of people in the chat. So let's before we talk about the Rangers, let's talk boxing. Did any watch boxing at the weekend?
I did not. No. Didn't even my telly Saturday night, so I couldn't watch it.
Sensational, much better than watching Rangers. Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, it was an excellent fight. I mean, it was just, I probably did edge Eubank winning it. It was very tight, and it was interesting watching Benny just swings his arms, really, didn't it? You know, he just kept swinging his arms.
Yeah, the weight was a massive difference, but the 18-foot ring was fantastic, and them both fighting in a foam box because Eubank was very heavily weight drained. So watching them both just stand there trading, and fair play to both fighters to be able to put that much heart and energy into the performance. Both of them didn't want to lose. Eubank deserved to win, but what a performance from both fighters. You cannot argue when 2 guys put their heart and soul on the line like that. And all the fans that watched it were the winners. It was absolutely fun. And he's simply the best. Eubank Senior was my favourite fighter back in the day. So to see him, and he never disappoints, mate. What an absolute maniac of a man, but he never disappoints.
It was Scott, you've not seen it, Joe. It was brilliant because obviously his old ring walk, his Eubank was simply the best. And just when that started pumping out, you know, it was he came out with this big fur coat on, didn't he? And just walking behind him, it was brilliant just to see it. And obviously Nigel
I've seen clips of it on social media, and I've seen the last round on YouTube. And the last round was just toe-to-toe, wasn't it, until the bell went. But I think they've already got a rematch set up anyway. I was in the contract. It doesn't matter who
September 9.
And rematch. So listen, Conor Benn's a decent fighter, but I think it's just the stuff that come with Conor Benn. I wanted Eubank to win myself, but I preferred but when I was younger, like you said, I preferred to get Eubank Senior. I actually preferred Nigel Benn back then, but it's just one of these things. It's why they just trying to do what their dad's done. They're trying to build this up to be another fight because I think Conor Benn and Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, I think they fought a good, was it 3 times, Ricky? 2 times, 3 times?
Twice, mate. 9th round knockout from Eubank and a draw in the second fight.
See, Ricky even does research on other sports just in case we talk about them. Not just Rangers, he's covering every sport going. There was who was the other two? It was Michael Watson in it and Steve Collins running at that time. Was he 4? No.
I remember watching the Eubank Collins fight, and drinking.
Collins was brilliant, man.
In this Irish pub, and everybody was shouting for Collins. I'm at the back shouting, "You back!"
It was fantastic. So excellent fight. It was worth watching. And I suppose the other big sporting event before we move on to football is snooker. You've been watching the snooker?
I stopped watching Alex Higgins left the planet.
Alex Higgins, that's a while ago.
I want that horrible, dead-looking John Higgins to get beat. I absolutely detest that onion-headed little fool. I hope someone beats him soon. It's quite mad, to be honest with you, who's in the quarterfinals. You've got him and Williams, Ronnie O'Sullivan. I mean, these guys are absolute antiques. Where's all the young players? Okay, Jude Trump is a little bit younger, and there's a few others that are in the mix, but it's quite sad that the old guard are still in the quarterfinals. We need to see where's all the young players that are coming through. We hear all about these whiz kids from China, but they're not that whiz kids. I mean, Ronnie's almost 50 and he's still kicking ass, man. Come on, where's all the young players?
John Higgins not get done me some scandal back a while back.
Aye, being a Celtic fan.
No, it was at McManus. It was one event at McManus. Higgins went to get done me. Was it in Thailand or Hong Kong done me?
I don't know. We'll not mention Graham Dock.
No, easy. Allegedly, man. Come on, the live show money, you need it for Walter. You're not wanting to be getting lawsuits and all the sort of things, man.
Good luck to the remaining 8 quarterfinals.
That's not what just to come in. Alex Higgins, Jimmy White, they were kind of the two I watched them and they kind of stopped playing. I know Jimmy White kept going a bit, but Alex Higgins obviously passed away and I just kind of fell away from it.
Do you know what I loved Stephen Hendry? I thought he was amazing at my age. Do you know at the time I thought he was outstanding, and obviously you always remember he was a big. I think he talked about being a Hearts fan, but he was very much a case of coming out and saying, I'm this and that. He said some things I can't repeat on the podcast, wasn't it? But it was very much a staunch. Maybe that's the way to put it. Is that how you call it?
Yes. My mum liked him. She met him a few times. She liked his, but no, not myself. No, I wasn't a big Stephen Hendry fan.
Anyway, we probably talked as much as we can and avoid the football. The only other thing I was saying to Ricky, I was away seeing the Star Wars 20th anniversary, Revenge of the Sith, re-release at the weekend in the cinema. So back and reliving 20 years ago.
Did you wear an outfit?
I left my lightsaber at home that night. I forgot about it. You know, I went do you know what was weird? No, it was the strangest thing. I went there thinking it was going to be, well, one, it was sold out, which was weird. I didn't expect that for a re-release of a movie 20 years ago. But also expected to be people my own age. I expected a whole bunch of middle-aged guys. Everybody was 20-year-old. It was obviously all these people going to see it for the first time in the big screen. So it was mobbed and the reclining seats to the showcase. But no, it was good to see it again. You know, it's probably 20 years since I last watched it, and so that was much better than any Rangers game. It was much more enjoyable and took my mind off the stress of Rangers. Back to the Rangers, unfortunately. We don't want to talk about a meaningless game in a lot of detail, right? So I'll pick it, but I'll try to think of some questions that are relevant. I suppose my first one, Ricky, and it's been bothering me for the last wee while, was that he lined up in a 5-3-2 formation when we've only got 5 fit defenders. And other than Celtic away and Fenerbahce away, I don't think it's worked at any point. And I suppose, I know we're going to criticise players, we're going to talk about all sorts of other things, but I think tactically, formation-wise, puzzled as to why that was the way to go.
Glad you asked that question, because I think we're at a point now where you can put the two things in separate baskets, right? We know these players are not good enough. We know we can speak about, you could do 60 minutes about every single fault with most of these players in the Rangers squad, right? But that 1 week apart against Fenerbahce and Celtic, for me, Ferguson has managed to take this team severely backwards, and that itself is a talent on its own. And I know he speaks after the game, and Liam Kelly was speaking after the game going, he's telling the players, like, they're giving the players instructions and the players are just not listening and stuff like that. But as a manager, you've also got to help the players with your tactics on the park, and this 5-3-2 is what are these? I mean, McCann goes on Sports Scene and all that. Billy Dodds, what are these guys thinking about, man? To play a 5-3-2, right? You need 2 attacking fullbacks, left and right, that can get up and down the park. You need a centre back that dominates, that's a good talker, because he has to be the one, like a Van Dijk, that orchestrates everything, right? So he's telling, if the left back goes forward, he's telling the right back, right, you stay here. He's pushing the midfielders around and pulling the midfielders around. You need a dynamic midfield, which I think that we do have, and you need a proper number 10 with a decent 2 strikers up front, right? The problem for me is Ferguson's playing 5-3-2. Our tactics, for what I could see, is Liam Kelly plays the ball out to Suter. He plays it to Enciala, who bypasses Rice, Raskin, and Diamande and punch the ball 60 yards up to Dessers, who's trying to control the ball, and everything sort of feeds off of what happens from there. That is our tactics. Mr. Ferguson, you were a fantastic player for Rangers. I absolutely love Barry as a player, and I will never mix what he's done as a caretaker manager with a player, because he won titles and gave us so much joy the years he played as a player. But it had the makings of a disaster written all over it when he came in as caretaker. And I know, listen, the players are... Who could get a tune out of these players? But for me, Ferguson has not helped himself. These tactics are absolutely mental. We don't have the players. He had so many defensive players on the pitch away to St Mirren. St Mirren, again, better manager, outworked us, outfought us, with a better team, deserved to win the match. Rangers, moments, very, very, very small bits of decent play, like Ferguson highlighted after the match. But apart from that, Gary, absolutely nothing. Not good enough. And unfortunately, he's 100% taking this team backwards. And well done for that, because that's almost a miracle in itself.
No, I'd agree. I mean, I think, as you say, watching the game, if you're playing a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, I was watching them at times say Tab would get the ball on the right hand side, and there's literally nobody in front of him and nobody like beside him. You're like, well, your next move is just to kind of try and drop it in behind, and that's irrelevant. That's never going to work. And if you go to the other side, Jeff would get the ball again, nobody near him, so he'd turn back and pass it back to Enciala, who would then do, as you say, punt it up the park. 3-5-2 can work, but you need people running about beside it, and you make angles moving, and I never seen in most of the games, not just yesterday or Saturday, sorry, that seems to have been the challenge. Talk about formations, but unless you actually create triangles and passing movements and all the stuff that goes with it, there's nothing really.
Yeah, that's it. We don't have any patterns of plays. He was roaring at Raskin to get on the ball. I don't know if you saw that in the first half. And I hope we'll speak about Rangers TV tonight, by the way, because I want to go on a rant about Rangers TV, how bad it is. But anyway, he's telling Raskin to get on the ball. He's like, Raskin, get on the ball, like, try and dominate. But again, we're just shelling the ball over the midfield's head. Rice actually started the match okay. He had a few dodgy passes, but he had a little bit of a period for like 5-10 minutes where he was dictating and he was getting on it. And then we just completely... Like, as soon as Robinson makes any little tweak, our management team are completely lost. It's like everyone has just given up. Like you said, 4 games to go. Get this season over, and please just hit that nuclear button and get this squad gutted as soon as possible.
And I suppose same with you, Scott, in some ways, in terms of the formation. I mean, as it worked against Celtic, worked against Fenerbahce, but it doesn't work in Scotland, and it's not functioning properly, but we continue to do it.
I think it was, Gary, if you've got the players, but at the moment in time, you've not got the players. I think, listen, Barry Ferguson and the rest of them brought in to see the end of the season. He'd a wee lull, we were all thinking, this looks promising, didn't he? But nothing's really came of it. And I don't really blame anybody. I don't really blame him or the coaches. I think a lot of these players have already chucked it. They checked out this season. There's nothing left to play for, and they know that. And I was just thinking about the summer, thinking about where we're going to be next. He's not helped himself at times, he hasn't, no, but I think he could have played 4-4-2 on Saturday, whatever formation he played, and I think you get the same performance for some of these guys. I think probably the only thing we can hope for in the summer, which I don't see happening straight away, is most of this squad isn't here next season. But that's going to be very difficult to do in the one window. And depending who the manager is going to be, I know we've linked with different names constantly, but I think the manager has to be announced sooner rather than later, because we have to start seeing movement. Hopefully they're doing it behind the scenes where they're looking at other players coming in and they're trying to shift players out. But if most of the squad's still here next season, next manager's got a hell of a lot of work to do because these guys will just chuck him under the same bus. They've chucked everybody else in there.
Yeah.
And I'm including Tav in that. I don't. Tav here for me, he's checked out. But he's also done enough. He shouldn't be here. He's 2 seasons too long at Rangers. That's my opinion. He's 2 seasons too long. And I feel we need a lot of different mentality in the squad, and that's coming from new players. It's not coming. You can't say the same guys. There's only maybe what many would you keep for the squad of players they've got now? 6.
Scott, we'll come back to some of that. I'm going to ask that's one of the questions later on, right?
Can I just say one thing there? Can I say one thing, Gary? Just to put a little point in that, a little cherry on that. We spoke about this on Friday, and it actually came out the last couple of days. And I think there's been a lot of pish come out the last few days. It's like there's a lot of clickbait stuff coming out. But I think one thing that was interesting, because we spoke about on Friday, is it looks like Stenson is the one that's been going around Europe interviewing all these managers already. So we were saying that we can't afford to wait until Farewell comes in at the end of the season, because that's going to be another 4 weeks away. By the time the guy has a holiday, he's not just going to be coming straight from Everton to Rangers. So it's interesting that it looks like Stenson's going to pick the manager as the director of football for the 49ers and just hand it to him, and then it's going to be, there you go, guys, get on with it. So that, I thought that was interesting the last couple of days.
No, I'd agree. So we're going to come back later on, just on player. We're going to come back and talk about player of the year. We're going to come back and talk about who would you keep, Joe, in some ways. So because Ricky was talking about that in the chat, so I thought we'll come back to some of that, and we'll talk a wee bit about Takeover and rumours of every German manager coming to us and all the stuff that goes with it. So we'll come back to some of those things. But we'll stick it to the game. We'll just kind of quickly go through some of the bits of the game. Ricky, I'm going to let you rant about Rangers TV first, because I don't know when else we'll get it in the moment. So you look ready for it, primed.
No, just, mate, we've got the worst club TV channel in the UK, and it's so bad, and it needs to be sorted out. That needs the nuclear button when the 49ers come in as well, man. You've got like 15 minutes build up before the match, no pundits, no chat or anything. You've got Tom, commentator, who, look, he's a Rangers man and everything, but Jesus, he should have been put out to pasture. Like, keep him on the radio, whatever, years ago. You've got the co-commentators like Liam McLeod on that can barely string a sentence together. And then straight after the match, you've got 2 chances, and then that's it. They switch it off. Come on, Rangers, man. We fans like us that are abroad, they're paying good money. We're paying almost $300 a year. I mean, I put that into Rangers TV, so give us a bit of a better product, because just now, man, it just adds to the tin pot feel of the club with how bad we are, and it's so disappointing, and it ruins the match experience when it's so bad every week. And even the people that have been watching it, I would never watch it on a Fire Stick, but the people are starting to complain to Jeff Bezos. So come on, Rangers, because they feel ripped off. So get it sorted out immediately.
Do you know, it just reminded me, remember back in COVID days when you had Clive Tilsley and you had, what's her name again? You had Neil McCann.
Yeah, exactly. Emma Dodds, Walter Smith and Graham Souness were Gerrard getting interviewed. I mean, I'm not expecting that level of... but I was watching Hearts TV like last year when Lowry was on loan, and I was wanting to see how Lowry was doing. And I was impressed. Their setup was so much better than ours. The commentator was better. They had pundits before the match, and then I turned over to RTV, and it's the worst club TV channel in Britain, and that's not an exaggeration.
I don't know if it's obviously because we scored a lot of home games, don't really see it as much, so it's not in the away games on Sky, so it's something I very rarely watch. So I never really thought that somebody living abroad, that's kind of how they consume it, and actually should expect better. So I'm just going to go half by half. First half was pretty abysmal. Nothing much happened. Dessers, there's probably 2 moments in terms of one, they brilliant head, brilliant control. Was it brilliant control? Then volleys it, rattles it 15 yards over the bar, and then he scores with a harder chance towards the end of the first half. Ricky, so Dessers probably does what Dessers does, as everybody says.
Yeah, I mean, the first chance over the bar, second chance, but I mean, it's the whole team. It's how poor we are. We've got no control over the match. The joy in the performance is very, very short-lived. I mean, even when you score, you just know that they're going to come straight back into it, and you're going to concede. The goals that we concede is the Chuckle Brothers, mate. But fair play to Dessers, good finish. But honestly, as this Rangers team, it's like just the countdown till the end of the season, mate. I don't know what to say about them, how bad it is, I don't know what we're trying to do. I don't know how, we've got zero control, as I said. It is so poor. It's like, come on, give us something. You know, we're gonna win 5 games. We're gonna win 4 games. We're gonna win 3 games. I can honestly see us not winning another game until the end of the season. And I'm not just saying that. I think Kerr is right. These players have completely chucked it. And it doesn't matter what Ferguson says or what formation he plays, but I think he should be helping them a bit more. But I think these players have chucked it. And you can see it.
Yeah. Sniper was in the comments. I actually see I was in a group chat arguing this case with Ross and Ricky at the weekend. I think Dessers gets a lot of flack because the rest of the people don't perform, and he does miss a lot of chances. But I would agree wholeheartedly with Sniper, but Ricky would disagree. So we're not going to start an argument on that now. Scott, if you've seen the highlights, what struck me is that for some reason, any chance someone created nothing themselves, if you're being honest. What they created was Suter just giving the ball away and then letting people run through, or Liam Kelly just passing it to the guy, and complete defensive lapses that were really, really abysmal, basically shocking. And that was probably a bigger issue, wasn't it? We were losing goals, chances through good play by the opposition.
It's poor, Gary. It's a wee bit of pressure on you, a wee bit of pressing, and the panic. And John Suter, I mean, I was a big fan of Suter. I'm still a big fan in a way, but the more you watch him play, the more you think it's not just one mistake per game. He's actually coming up with 2 or 3 at times, and I don't know if it's in the back of his head because I don't know if he's renewed a contract. I don't know if he's getting a new contract. I don't know if he's moving on. We don't know what's happening with John Suter. So I don't know what's playing in the back of his mind either. Is he maybe wanting to move on? Maybe he's waiting to see if a new manager fancies him. I don't know, but he was always, when we brought John Suter in, everybody always said he's a seized defender. He was always a good defender. He blocked shots, put his head in the way, tackles, but he's not been doing that either. He's been just going through the motions. I've said that before. I think they've all kind of thought, like, Ferguson not getting this job, so we don't really have to listen to him anymore. And we don't know who the manager is. There's a lot of turmoil behind the scenes, and some of us will be here next season, some of us won't. All the loan players coming back, hopefully they don't, but you'll probably find some will. And it's no, the takeover and everything else isn't going to sort out this very quick style, because as you've seen in Saturday against St Mirren, I think we beat St Mirren this season. I can't remember now.
Yeah, the first game of the season.
Oh, did, first one, but they beat us twice and then with Drudge, and it's like, I know St Mirren are a decent side. Robinson's done really well. They play decent football. It makes them very hard to beat. They're well disciplined, but if you're challenging for stuff, you have to go down to St Mirren Park and get a result. Doesn't matter how good or how decent they are. You have to be challenged. You have to go down there and win. And we can't do things like that, Gary. We can't do it basics properly. For a squad of professional footballers, we struggled doing very simple things at football park.
No, I'd agree. And it didn't get any better in the second half. I think the first 15 minutes of the second half was probably that.
Obviously, I guess chance right enough. I think it just missed something flying into Glasgow Airport, didn't it?
That was near your house. It was hitting. I think that was getting towards your house on the other side of Paisley. The second half,
in my back, probably like in my back door, Maltese.
Walter's playing with me.
I think the first 15 minutes of the second half we started pretty well. Actually, the one bit decent thing we played any football was the first 15 minutes of the second half. And that's when maybe Dio and Raskin get the ball and actually played the ball through the middle of the park. Remember we used to do that? Play the ball through the lines, that they call it, back in the days. And we get a good second goal. Raskin scores up. But then after that, we kind of drop back, Ricky, again. And I've watched the second goal again at the time. Do you know how this is how bad it was? At the time when the game was on, I was too busy scrolling through my phone most of the time, half-heartedly watching the game. So we need to watch the highlights again and seen one proper for the 10th time jumps in, gets beaten there. Suter gets turned extremely easily, and then it's literally straight in front of you for nothing. It's a nothing goal, and the next thing you know, it's 2 each.
Yeah, that's the goals we give up. That's the right since Ferguson came in. Our defending's got a lot worse. It's like the team has got zero structure anymore. I don't know if it's the 5-3-2 because it's definitely not a 3-5-2. That's for sure. It's definitely a 5-3-2 because our fullbacks never get forward. There's absolutely none happening. What I couldn't believe about the performance against St Mirren was how many Scottish players, like how they played so bad. I mean, that was Liam Kelly. I mean, does he play against Celtic? Do he bring Buckland back? He was that bad. That was a performance where you look at that and you go like, okay, maybe time to drop him again, because it's like you said, every chance we gave to St Mirren was from our slack play, and how the guy missed the one from Kelly where he punted it over the bar. That was miss of the season. Suter, I mean, Ferguson, you think Scottish, the connection with the Scottish guys, they would be up for the match. And like, there's every game for Rangers you're supposed to be up to, but that was the worst performance Suter's had probably this season. He kept tripping over the ball. And again, it was to do with the tactics, Gary, because you're right what you're saying. Him and Tav were getting on the ball and they were looking up. And the reason they kept getting caught on the ball was because it was St Mirren's cup final. It's every team's cup final. And there's nobody to pass to. They don't want to keep passing it to the next centre back or NCR to shell up the park, but they've got no choice because there's no options. The players are hiding. Players are hiding in plain sight. And so the only option is to get it to a fullback to shell it to Egerman, who is like, we're wasting that kid playing him off a striker. There's no point in playing him off a striker. He takes too many touches. He's lackadaisical in that position. He's never performed in that position we've been trying to play him in. And I don't even really know what position we're trying to play him in. So there's so many things wrong, and everything is wrong about Rangers just now that it's just mind-boggling. It's hard to get your head around because, like, from the top to the bottom, still everything is completely wrong. It needs changed, and it needs changed big style. As soon as we've got Red Bull on the front of our shirts, the better.
So that nicely takes us away from the Suburban game. So I think that's more than enough on that. That's 20 minutes or so. We might be fit to talk about that. But it takes us nicely, Ricky, onto our Player of the Year awards. Scott. So I'll tell you through. So in case you forgot who they all were, Raskin was Player of the Year. Egerman was Young Player of the Year. Tav got an award for over 500 games. Suter won an award for something I don't really know what it was for. And Dessers was top goal scorer. So that was the men's award. I'll give a very, very special mention to Mia McCauley, who was Women's Young Player of the Year, who I know, and she's an excellent young player. I've not seen her since she was young, so well done her. And to Laura Berry, who was in the SWPL nominations for Women's Young Player of the Year. So I know two of them, both of them outstanding players, and actually big Rangers fans for there. But in terms of men's Player of the Year, Scott, I was quite surprised. I thought Cherny, and I think we talked, Ricky, last week about Cherny being almost a shoe-in for it. I'm quite surprised it was Raskin. I'm probably come to the wrong person asking you this, Scott, but I will come to you anyway.
I think maybe because he's on loan, Gary. I think they didn't want to get somebody that's no permanent member of their club. He's on loan for Wolfsburg, do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think Germany probably should be, but I think what Raskin's done since he's come back in, I think he's performed really well. And he's probably one of the only ones out of that squad I would keep for next season. That's if he's still here. I think consistent wise and moments in the game and being a difference maker, Cherny has been up there. But you can also say Dessers has scored a lot of goals. Should he get it for that? So I think all the nominees, and I don't know why they come up with. I don't know how they managed to come up with 5. I was struggling to pick 5 for that squad, but I think probably over the piece, they should have just done away with the Player of the Year awards this season, in my opinion. But I think Raskin does probably just deserve it. But it's poor having these things and people paying on some money to go to these things because it's pointless. You're not celebrating. You're sitting there, no winning anything, and wanting pictures with guys that 3 or 4 hours earlier you were criticising stuff like that. It's just, I wouldn't go to these things. No, I mean, that's maybe me. I was just saying, I'd rather sit in the house and watch something on TV or go to a pub for a drink. I want to go pay on a couple of quid to go and sit at a Player of the Year awards, but we've won sod all. Do you know what I mean? That's just really depressing you.
No, I'd agree. And Ricky, coming to you then. So, were you surprised that Jeffrey didn't win Young Player of the Year? Were you surprised that Cherny never won? Were you surprised that John Suter won the award for I still don't know what? So if you can clarify that.
Amazing, man. No, I thought the Suter one was hilarious. The John Gregg Achievement Award for after the way that he played against St Mirren, where he fell on his arse twice and gave away the chances. I mean, you've seen the players that were nominated. It just shows you how much of a shambles of a season it's been. And, I mean, fair play. I mean, I think Raskin's had a good season. I think Cherny's had a good season. Egerman's a young player coming to Scotland from Morocco. Doesn't speak the language. I think he's had a good first season. And I feel sorry for the way that we've treated him. Yeft, I told you on Friday, players like Yeft, There was others that were in that list. Barron, I mean, come on. What player of the year? Yeah, okay, no problem. And Tav getting his award for 500 games, Jesus. And Ferguson handing him the Wimbledon Women's Championship trophy. The shape of it, that was quite funny. I saw that today. But no, fair play to the players. I mean, they're preparing well for the Celtic game. Ross has got pictures of them in the Wonder Bar, absolutely steaming, singing karaoke. So at least they're taking the Celtic game serious for next Sunday. But the less said about the awards, the better. Let's hope next season we're actually players deserve it a lot more than they do this season. That's for sure.
So I'll start with you, Ricky. The weekend you were talking on the group chat when we were on a rant and rave about things about you would only keep 6 players, right? So this probably ties in again moving forward. 6 players you would like to keep, and in the chat, feel free to put in your 1 player you might like to keep, or 2 players, or 6 players, how many it would be. You thought there's probably the most in that squad out of the 25 players that we have or so. There's 6 there that are still worth a place next year. And before we go, everybody knows we're not going to sell 19 players and bring in 19, 20. That's not the base.
I know. There's no point in getting excited in the chat. We're only chatting about what I would do and the players that I would keep. But I think
you're going to CGM 65 here it is. Ricky's going to come up with
geez, you put us on the spot now. So Rice is one. Raskin, if he signs a new deal, 100%. Cherny, I know he's not our player, but he's a player for the right side that you could build the team around and know that he has got a wand of it. He would be a great player. Him and Rice would be a great 2 players in a team with Raskin as well, in a team that is firing. Diamande and Egerman as well, I agree with, because Diamande, I know, but he needs to get him on the pizza suppers and the King Ribs, man. He needs a bit of. We need to get him fatter and get him lasting 90 minutes. That's for sure. Egerman I would definitely keep. And Barron as a squad option only because, as I said to you before in other pods, you need players that after you come back from Europe and stuff like that. I think Barron has done enough this season he's going to stay anyway. Let's be honest. Barron is definitely going to stay. I'm not including players like Curtis and stuff like that because they're not even getting any minutes. So there's no point in speaking about young players as first team players yet because Curtis has played barely any minutes. So that's the 6 that, and definitely not. If Dessers is here next season, then I'm going to turn into a sniper and find the sniper because there's no way he can be at Rangers next season. Dessers, Butland, donkeys like that. We spoke about the players that need to be moved on. We cannot be keeping players like that for next season. I cannot take it. If Red Bull is on our shirt and we've got donkeys like that, I will be in tears.
I just guess that because there's a few people put in the comments, and I know you've been talking about him. So the sniper there, Enciala is one of his.
Yeah, I mean, I had high hopes for Enciala because when he came in, I thought he was decent, and he went on a run of games where he was promising, and I think that he actually played better with Proper, believe it or not. Do you not agree that he was all right when he was playing next to Proper? And for some reason. Yeah, he was decent until that St Mirren game where he blew up at Ibrox. When he was playing next to Proper, they actually had a lot better partnership than any of the crap that we're watching just now. But for some reason, after he lost his confidence after that St Mirren game, he's never ever been able to get it back, and he looks completely lost now every time he's on the park. He's giving away goals. He's giving away. He is decent on the ball, but he gives it away a lot of times as well. He's very easy to bully. He's getting targeted now from teams. So, as a 6 option as a centre back, I wouldn't be against him staying next year. But for me, I don't think you can hang your hat on a player like Enciala and say he's going to be part of a decent squad next season. I'll always say this, Gary, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. We don't need better players than Rangers. We need better players than what Celtic have, or at least players to compete with Celtic. And just now, that 6 that I'm on about, the only one that gets into Celtic's squad is probably Raskin and Cherny. Maybe that's it at a push. The rest they wouldn't even take. So that's what you're dealing with. And that a Cody Diggerman and stuff like that, and that they wouldn't get in Celtic's squad the way it is just now. So for me, we need to get better. We need better.
Scott, you've had plenty of time there to think about your players you would like to keep. Doesn't it be 6? Could be 1, 2, 52.
I'm going to be similar to Ricky, but I'll say Rice and Curtis for definites. Agaman, Raskin, and Ciala. See the rest, I wouldn't care if I see them again. No, I wouldn't care if any of them come back. It doesn't bother me if they come back. If they did come back, obviously I'm going to support them, but we need far better than what we're getting. There's a lot of players here we might get money for, but there's a lot of guys here will struggle to sell. A lot of guys here will struggle to move on, because if they're happy getting a decent wage at Rangers and not getting anybody else, but they're still in their contract, they'll dig their heels in. A lot of players do that because they're like, well, I've got another year to go. I'm earning 15, 20 grand a week. I'm only getting offered 8 or 10 there. I can sit here for another season, especially if somebody like Dowell comes back, Davis comes back, Sventes comes back. We're struggling to move these guys on, so I know Birmingham get promoted, but I don't know if we'll keep Davis and Dowell, because I don't know. I think Dowell might struggle in the Championship. Davis would probably be okay, but it just depends. I would even end up giving guys away. Do you know what I mean? Just to get them off the wage bill. I don't care if you get money. Just give them away. Send us a set of balls and we'll give you a couple of players. You know what I mean? Just send them away, because it's going to be very difficult, Gary, because not like yourself, it's not as much money we're getting from it, it's what they're earning. And we can't keep signing players when we've got a lot of players coming back or a lot of players there. So it's going to be a case of one in, one out. We will have money to spend. I don't know how much, but it'll probably be more than we did this season. But we have to be clever how we spend it. And we have to bring in some experienced guys, but a lot of our guys are going to be guys that are coming in. Maybe have to work on to see if we get a sell on. But honestly, not every player you buy is going to have a sell on, because you have to, like I say, you have to be clever and sign some experience, because that's what we lack. We do lack experience. The only guys who've really got the experience is Tav and Suter, but they're struggling big time. Butland to a point, but he's struggling as well. And they three, I would be happy if 3 never come back next season. Very happy, because I think one of them's lost confidence big style in Jack Butland. Tav's past it, and Suter, I don't know what he's doing at this moment in time. So they're on three good wages, so that can make us some money back in.
Do you think, sticking on that, and I suppose the question is, and this is the perennial question round circles, do you think the bet players are better than they're showing? So, for example, John Suter is Scotland's best defender, right? Just pick an example. He's Scotland's best defender. Diamande is playing for a far better national team in Ivory Coast than most would play for. Raskin's also playing with Belgium, and you've got Bajrami's at Albania, guys that are playing at decent levels internationally, but for some reason the performance at Rangers are either, one, they're not as good as you think they are, or secondly, it's been stifled with the tactics of managers and all the stuff that's went with it. So I suppose my question is, do you think there's enough good players there that still could be supplemented with a bunch of players and could perform?
No, definitely not. But the league table doesn't lie, Gary, and it's been 3 seasons in a row that we're not even at a point where we're challenging them. And I know a few people are putting in the comments, "Oh, forget about that mob and everything like that." How can you forget? They're the ones that we need to be competing against to win the league. We want to get. We've got this. We're all on a bit of a wave with this title. This takeover and that's a way to happen. And there's a lot of exciting news coming out. Things are moving very fast. These guys are working in the background. Stenson's taking a very, very pivotal role, and he seems to be the one that's starting the rebuild already and stuff like that, and that's exciting. But we need to be challenging for titles. Celtic have dropped enough points this season for us to be able to challenge and give them, and we're miles away. It's and you can't say, okay, if we add 4 or 5 players to these players, it's going to make a big difference, because they never show it. They've showed it in Europe and glimpses and games in Europe, and they've been fantastic away from home for 2 seasons now. But when we go back to the bread and butter of Scotland, Diamande's a complete different player. He's not. It's crazy when you watch him in Scotland on a Sunday compared to the player you watch on a Thursday night. He's dominating midfields in Europe, and then he comes back to Scotland and he's tripping over the ball, giving the ball away. He doesn't show for the ball. It's a complete different kid. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So for me, you need a spine, Gary. Every team that has won titles, you need a defence. You need a goalkeeper, two full-backs that are suited to what we want to do in Scotland, and 2 dominating centre-halves That's where you start with your defence. And then Raskin is, for me, I would love Raskin to sign a new deal. He's a Belgium international, a proper Belgium international. They've been raving about him since the last. So if we can get him tied down, that's the sort of player you can build a midfield round. Now, Diamande, if he can play in a midfield with a decent team, and we start to see that player in Europe, brilliant. I mean, that's another. And then, but we still need a number 10, and we need a complete new front three. And there's no ambiguity with that. That has to happen. That they new starting players have to happen. And if they don't, we won't be challenging Celtic, and that's a fact. That like you can't go into the next season with players like Butland, Tavernier as captain, Dessers. You will never challenge Celtic with their players. They will be laughing at us if we start next season with these players. So that needs, and we're frustrated. And I remember we had a few games in Europe when Sterling was the right back and the defence looked good before he got injured. And it just had a freshness about it. It was nice, and then he went and got injured again. So it needs to be massive, mate. There's no way you've got anything in this squad that you could hang your hat on and go, they can be involved in a rebuild and everything is going to be rosy in the garden.
So it's a tough one. I do get. I mean, I suppose you get the argument you can make that the guys with the right manager, and you watch a lot of teams in the right manager and they can perform. So it's not been proven. There's very little evidence to back that up at this point in time. We get somebody that is able to tactically put them into a position. It may be that some of them have still got a future. I think we've tried to say in the comments lots. You ain't going to sell 20 players. You ain't going to bring in 20 players. It's not going to happen. So we will need to rely on a number of them next season, and hopefully someone can step up to the mark. I suppose let's talk takeovers then, right? So lots of rumours now, Scott. So rumours are there's talk of a German manager. So I don't know if people are now putting Red Bull together with the fact that Thirlwell, can't remember how you say his name, was over in not New York Red Bulls and bringing Marco Rosa. We've got Farke because of the 49ers thing. But there certainly seems to be some sort of link between both of those areas. And obviously Steven Gerrard's the third name probably that's in the hat quite a lot. So they seem to be the three big hitters at the moment.
I think there's a lot of names, Garrett. Every kind of couple of days, names change, and then you're getting screenshots or emails that's supposed to have sent out and stuff like that. It's nonsense. We'll know when it eventually happens. I think talking about all these different managers, unless we know something's concrete, then we're just dabbing in the dark, aren't we? I mean, we don't really know. Listen, Marco Rose might come in and he's a decent manager. He's got a good experience at various clubs, but I don't know if he ticks all the boxes for me just because he's not managed in the UK. Do you know what I mean? I want somebody who knows British football, who knows Scottish football. I know that doesn't going to make him a success, but I just feel that's what we've lacked the last few managers. No, Barry Ferguson does, and he's struggling, but he's not an experienced manager with a pedigree. So I don't know. I think whoever they bring in, it's going to take time. We can't be as impatient as we have been, because as soon as that happens, people think takeover money, new manager, everything's just going to click into place and we win in like next season. And I don't think that happens for me. I think next season, if they're challenging up until this point in the season, I'll be happy. Yes, we always want more. Every fan does. But when's the last time we really challenged? When's the last time we were sitting March, April time challenging? I know we've done it kind of last season. We come on for season, we come in and we kind of challenge near the end. But on a consistent basis, we've not really challenged. Gary, they've won the league quite easily over the last few while. Be Christmas time, it's over. I mean, even 3-4 games into the season, you think yourself, this is over. So I just want the club to be challenging everything domestically. I still play well in Europe, but domestically, we need to put a challenge in every club competition, but especially the league, and just make it difficult to beat again and no be pushovers like we've turned into. Do you know what I mean? Because Barry Ferguson was right when he says nobody fears Rangers, and I get that. They don't. If I was a manager in a team in Scotland and I was going to Ibrox, you seen it with Queen's Park, I wouldn't fear Rangers. I would look at this team and say, we can take this mob because they're shitting themselves. Do you know what I mean? But you can see it in their eyes. I know he said that's that dude and looked Tav in the eye and I knew he was up for the job. Well, Tav must have been wearing glass eyes because it wasn't his eyes you looked into. But I just think we need somebody who can put fear back into oppositions. So when they come to Ibrox, they think, we're going to be in a game here. But it used to happen. I know that's a lot to ask for, especially under a new manager, but that's what we have to aim for.
See, Ricky, I'm looking at the comments as people are talking. I get the feeling there's a bit of a nervousness about bringing in a foreign manager because of Clement, Van Bronckhorst, and the last couple of years, when it's went, especially when it's went quite wrong. There seems to be this kind of, if you bring in a foreign manager, it's going to be the same as what's happened to us previously.
I was walking the dog today, Gary, and I was thinking about this subject actually, and it's like, you've got to trust these guys that are taking over the club, the 49ers, and we're all scarred. We're completely scarred. We'll go back to Pedro, Paul McGuinn, but you've got to remember that was this board that was going from disaster to another disaster, to another disaster, to another disaster. And that was, I mean, to be fair though, as supporters, it's not our job to pick the Rangers manager because let's be honest, when Van Bronckhorst came in, fans were excited and they were happy. Until, a few of the Feyenoord fans went on podcast and started speaking about the horseshoe, and then it all went downhill very fast. But when Michael Beale came in, he was on the rise at QPR. He'd conned us all with his 5 Twitter accounts telling us that he was Pep Guardiola and he was going to win the Champions League with Rangers. And fans were behind Michael Beale. So there's no point in saying that, you maybe get the odd outlier that just hates every manager so he gets it right, But that was, and then who came in after Beale? And so all these managers we've all been backing, and then so we can't sit and pretend that not all fans are ever going to be happy. I see a lot of people wanting Kevin Muscat, and I understand that because he's winning titles, he's on the rise, he's got a good idea of the world market and stuff like that. So it is a name that makes a lot of sense. But he doesn't seem to be in the running the way that the rumours are with the papers and stuff like that. So what we have to hope as football fans that support Rangers is we have to hope that these guys know what they're doing, that they know that when they bring in, say it is a Marco Rose, right? Say that a guy like that's coming in, or it's a guy like foreign guy, you have to hope that they understand, and they will understand because he's a Red Bull through and through coach. They'll understand the way that he wants to play and the players that we need for him to be able to implement his system. Because it's, you think about it like from you're like quite a business guy, so you think about it from a practical point of view. What's the point? They would look stupid and be bad businessmen if they said, I'm going to put 40 million into Rangers, and they brought in a manager that they know how he likes to play and his style, and they didn't put the structure in place to give them the right players to be able to implement that system. They would be the worst businessmen in the world if that was the case. And I know that there is a lot of people in football that are pretty bad and stuff like that, but these guys have got a lot of experience. They know what they're doing with sports franchises and stuff like that. There's a lot of great talk about what they're going to do with Ibrox, and that's exciting. I don't know if you've seen the pictures at Ellen Road today. I saw, wow, man, it looks absolutely sensational what they're doing at Ellen Road, because it's been a bit of a dump for years. And if they can do that to Ibrox, then that you've got to get excited about it. And you've got, we can all say we want Gerrard, we want Muscat, we want this, we want that, but we have to hope that these guys know more than us and they know how they're going to back them. So whoever they bring in, I'll be right behind it from the start until the first 5 games when we play Pish and we drop 9 points. But up until that point, we'll be right behind it, and you've got to get behind it.
Scott, I'm looking at the chat. There's lots of things. So Daniel Farke, I was reading about him today. He was the Dortmund 2 manager before he went to Norwich and was successful. Thomas Frank, I don't think he had a hugely successful pedigree before he joined Brentford, and he's outstanding. I think that, I suppose, the worry about coming to Rangers is, do you need a different style of manager than somebody that's coming in that necessarily, because you'll start getting hammered straight away if it doesn't succeed. I suppose that's maybe the question. Thomas Frank, outstanding as he is, would he get the same sort of respect and time and media scrutiny if he came to Rangers?
I think it depends, Gary. It's a different, it's a different way we work here. Media wise up here, football wise up here. Pressure at Rangers is totally different, because if you finish second, it's a failure. Doesn't matter. Finish second in our club, it can be a success, but you finish second at Rangers, it's a failure. But it's been on for so long, and a lot of people are desperate for success, but a lot of people that support Rangers nowadays don't really know success because they followed them through a time when they grew up, they know women a lot, and we're lucky enough we can remember success, but there's a lot of people like my nephew who's 14, he can't really remember a lot, to be honest with you. He just thinks it's normal getting beat at times, you know what I mean? So I think it just depends. Obviously, you bring a manager in. Listen, if whoever comes in, we need to support them and give them time. It will take time, but Ricky's right, and I've said it myself, if he loses the first Old Firm game of the season, already the pressure's on him. Do you know what I mean? Because people are saying, well, it's him lost in Eddie today, Matt, they're going to win every game, blah, blah, blah. And it depends how he takes it. But whoever does come in, he will need to be patient with him, he will need time. But the board, the sporting director, they need to back him with the players he wants. He can't come in and be told you have to work with these gutless, spineless lot is here now, because it doesn't matter who you bring in. You can bring in anybody and they'll struggle to get a tune out of their players. I'm being honest with you. And I've watched Rangers a long, long time like yourself, Gary, but this squad of players we've got must be some of the worst players we've had at Ibrox, because
Gary,
they're useless.
Yeah, if you look back over my lifetime, you've got Souness came in and done it, right? When Rangers were probably as bad as we are now, maybe even worse at that time when he came in and done it, right? Walter Smith the second time came in and done it for Rangers. Advocat was a bit different because Advocat had a lot of money and Murray went really heavy with almost to ridiculous levels with how much he backed Dick Advocat. But even the other side with Martin O'Neill, he came in when Advocat had all that money and he turned it round just like that with bringing in the right players. So it's about bringing in the right players, and the structure has to be. I don't think Coppin. I'm expecting Coppin to leave very soon and be out of here, and then bring in their own guy. But I think it can be done. You said it yourself. I don't think the ceiling in Scotland means that this can be turned around very, very fast. If it takes time, no problem. I don't have a problem. If it takes 2 years and we don't win the league next season, but I see a lot of progress and we're at least challenging Celtic, I would bite your hand off for that right now if you said we'd win the league in the second season, because we are coming from very, very far behind. But in Scotland, the right manager, the right structure, backing with the right money, it can be turned around very fast.
I think that's the point. I'm just reading this from John. Moyes would have been a good shout. It would have been, so you watch David Moyes, just picking him as an example. He went to a struggling Everton team, didn't score goals, football was abysmal. Same players are there now, and he actually makes them look like a good team. That's the difference. Is a good manager can make bad players or average players or even good players a good team, and vice versa. So I think one of the things you will see next season is you'll get a real true reflection if we get the right manager as to how good or bad some of these players potentially are. And I think that's because otherwise, there'd be no point of the manager. You as well just let them fling 11 players in the park every week. They've got to have a role, and a good manager can make a significant difference. Scott, you weren't here Friday, but we're obviously, how do you say his name, Scott? Thrillwell, I can't remember.
Thrillwell, yeah.
Your views on the appointment of the new sporting director.
Listen, I've read about him, I've looked him up, and what I've read is I like, and I was like Ricky, I listened to a couple of things on YouTube, watched a couple of things on YouTube for Everton fans, and they quite liked him as well. So it's quite positive, but it's obviously what he does at Rangers. Looking back at stuff, because every manager that's came in, focus came in, we've looked back and seen, he done well there, he's done okay here. Clement was won leagues before he came. But as a sporting director, he seems up for the challenge. But as a sporting director, I mean, Ross Wilson got hundreds of abuse, especially for me. But you look at Forest, do you know what I mean? So I think being at a club at Rangers is totally different. It's totally. I think people understand it until they come to Scotland and work in the city and work with the club and realise this is something I've never experienced before. The pressure, the intensity, a draw. You're under. If you get a draw, it's crap. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't draw. You have to win every game. And whereas at other clubs like Everton, Wolves, he was at. I mean, if they got a draw or a win and they're finishing mid-table or even challenging for Europa, that was success, because they're not expected to win, but up here, you're expected to win. So it's a totally different environment, totally different with the media, the fan base. So I think it will be a learning curve for him. He's probably spoke to a lot of people, and he knows in the game it's been up here, or knows people have been here and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it, Gary, because we needed somebody, didn't we? We needed somebody in that role. So I'm hoping he comes in, with some good ideas and gets the ball rolling. Listen, I agree with Ricky. All I want to see us moving forward. We stagnated far too long. We spent a bit of money, but we never go forward. We either go sideways or back, just the way we play, to be honest with you. But I just want to see us moving forward, even if it takes time. But you see it, you see progress, and you see like there's something happening here. I can get behind this. Then you're no criticising, no abusing. You're thinking, well, like when Gerrard came in, we lost that League Cup to Celtic. We thought there's something happening here. You could see the team was starting to gel, and we thought we're moving forward. I know we eventually won the league, but I'm not saying I want Steven Gerrard back, but I'm just talking about an example. You see him, you seen something happening, whereas with a manager since, it's like you don't know what you're watching at times because there's all different stuff going on and you don't see anything happening in front of you. We can turn up on a Thursday, but we can be totally awful on a Sunday or a Saturday. So I'm just talking he comes in, he gets the players he wants, or at least players in certain positions he wants, and he gets the manager they want. But the manager's going to have to be back, but he's going to have to be patient. We're going to have to be patient with him, and so is everybody else, and how we see how he goes. And I think we'll have to give him at least a season under his belt before we start to criticise him on here, whereas we might give him 6 games, that right, Ricky?
Yeah, I think we criticise the wrong people, though. I hope people learn their lesson, Kerr, though, because we're too... I think we should take it. We always criticise, like we always think that everyone gets it, man. You know, the flamethrower comes out as soon as we drop points. Oh, that Ross Wilson, that little midget, man. Fans, that's especially now. Like social media is no real. I think a lot of it is absolute junk that's on there, but people use it as the gauge of the support and stuff like
There's
that.
There's a lot of folk on social media which I got as my director.
Aye, exactly, man. We're all experts, mate. But no, I just hope that we get a bit of stability now. I would like Patrick Stewart to stay. Like I see, like people giving him grief and everything. I don't think he's done that much wrong since he's came in, and I would like to see him stay in his position. I would like to see Phil. Let's keep him 3-4 years and hopefully like he can put the structures in place. So if we do lose a manager, they're bringing in a similar manager. Because I was watching a podcast listening to a podcast this morning again, and I thought they had a lot of good points about like we're bringing in managers every 2 years, and none of these players are for his system. You know, like we've got such a mix and match now. That's the club has been so badly run. Getting rid of Ross Wilson and not replacing him was one of many disastrous decisions we've made in the last 5 years, you know, and that was before we won the league. So and then just give Michael Beale like this war chest and then hand money to all these managers and just let them sign who they want and be taken in by the crap that they're telling them at interviews and stuff. It's been an absolute circus when you take a step out and actually look how bad the club has been run in this dark period since 55. So what we hope now, we'll get a bit of stability, put proper structures in place of what we want the club to be with these new owners, because these new owners are going to be here for the next 5-6 years, you would imagine, and they want us to be a Champions League team. So hopefully all these people stay around and we start to see stability and we can start challenging it, because that will help. If you've got that in place, the manager becomes a small part of a big jigsaw, whereas we've had the manager as too big of a jigsaw piece and the rest has been an absolute mess, and none of it's been fitting because it's a complete shit show. So we need to get away from that.
Do you know, listening to know what I want for a wish next season? I don't want to hear Patrick Stewart's name. I don't want to hear Thurwell. There's no reason. We want to be talking about football, managers, players. You don't want to hear about all these guys, the finance director and all this stuff. It's not relevant to what is meant to be supporting a football team and watching football players and scoring goals and having all that stuff with it. There's been too much over the last 2 or 3 years about boardrooms and sporting directors and Ross Wilsons and all that stuff in the background because we're going to be winning, basically. So
we deserve a positive season for Nart. We've had one season and it's been doom and gloom there with every single, and it's hard. Like people think that people think that you're a negative person. I'm the most positive person you ever meet in your life. I hate speaking negatively about our club, but they leave you with no option. You can't watch like we did on Saturday with the tactics and how bad the players play and come on a podcast and be all positive and go, oh yeah, well, Suter might have had a bad match, but he's actually a good defender. It's just nonsense. Folk don't want you to just bullshit them and pull wool over their eyes. So hopefully next season is different. You can see the club on the up again. And I'll take a season rebuild. For me personally, I want us to be winning leagues. We all want shiny things back in the cabinet. But as long as I see progress and I see the club heading in the right direction, I'll be a very, very happy Rangers fan.
100%. And that's all that really matters. I think, Scott, unless you've got anything, we're probably going to come to the end of the pod. I've seen some comments about Gerrard. There's lots of comments about Gerrard again, but we've talked about Gerrard Friday. We'll talk about him probably again this Friday and probably every Friday until there's a manager there. And again, we've all got our own views on Gerrard. I'm not hugely excited either way about him coming. If it was to be that, I think some think he's a return of the Messiah, whereas some think he probably was never that great in the first place. So, and the truth's no doubt somewhere in the middle. And we'll probably come back and talk about that over the next couple of weeks. Singing Blues, no, there's not a free bar in the live show, just to answer that question for you. But
I thought Ricky was sending over some spending money.
Email Oswald's. That guy's minted that's got Oswald's. So email Oswald's and say Kerr said it was a free bar.
That leads us nicely onto the.
I said 3 bars.
Three bars. 3 drinks each. So on the 16th of May, it's been on the chat a lot in the comments. So 16th of May is a live show. I think tickets have been selling pretty well. So if you're looking to get one, please do so. The link's on Eventbrite, Not Another Rangers Podcast Live, and you can get it through the links on YouTube and so forth. So we will be back on Friday. I don't think there's much else to say. Hopefully by Friday we will be looking for a preview of the Old Firm game, for all that really matters again. But we'd still, irrespective of that, time we get to Friday, battle fever will be on a wee bit. We want to beat them for the third time just because it's who we're playing against. And we will hopefully have some more news on managers, directors, front of the shirt sponsors, whoever else we talk about other than the football. And other than that, I think that's us for this evening. So thanks, Ricky. Thanks, Scott. We will see all. Well, we'll all be back probably on Friday, I'd imagine. So we will see you then. Take care. Bye now.